Today is the feast of St. Joseph, as many of you know. The liturgical books, the books we use for prayer, tell us that St. Joseph is the patron of the universal church and also the patron of Canada. And indeed, that makes him just the right saint for today. Because we know this crisis, the spreading of the coronavirus, it hits us both globally, the church and the whole world, and in fact all people are somehow affected by it or feel threatened by it. And it hits us also nationally. Borders are being closed, the government takes measures and decisions every day. In fact, the crisis affects us also locally, where we live, and individually in our own families. This is where the crisis hits us, and also at all these levels it needs to be confronted. We know quite a bit about St. Joseph from the Gospels themselves. We know that he trusted in God, in God's plan, in God's providence. We also know that his faith, his trust in God, was put to the test again and again. The very beginning of the life of Jesus, but then later also. This faith, this trust that we see in Joseph makes him the great example for us today. An example for what Holy Scripture, St. Paul especially calls the righteousness of faith. We have to admit that in these days and weeks, our own trust is put to the test. Starting with the trust in other people, in how they behave. Maybe the trust in ourselves, in our own ability to do the right thing here. But also our trust and our confidence in institutions is put to the test. In governments, in the measures, the decisions they take. And last but not least, our faith. Our faith in God is put to the test. Faith in his care, in his plan, in his providence. At all these levels, what we now need more than ever and more than anything else is patience. Patience as the ability to avoid chaos, to avoid confusion, to avoid despair. Patience also as the ability to bear this cross, the present situation, and bear it with others. Not simply avoid them and leave them to themselves. Patience is the ability, last but not least, to keep going and also to keep working. We need people to keep working, especially those who provide essential services, work in healthcare, who work with those who in fact become sick, trying to help them, make them survive. We need those to work who try to find a cure, maybe even a vaccine for the virus. Of course, we need people, to provide services of government, other safety and security related issues. We need, of course, to look at ourselves and say, what do I need to do? What's the kind of work that I need to do now? Also to keep the economy going, to keep the supply chains moving. How can I contribute so that the economy on which we all depend, on which ultimately all the services we are able to provide and that we expect depend, can continue even if it is at a limited speed and at limited volumes. If we look at St. Joseph in the Gospels, we see he never loses faith. He never panics, never gets hysterical, never afraid. Also never loses courage. Always is able to do what needs to be done. And to do it well. Very well. What a great example he is, therefore, for us right now. Many of you may know the great shrine of St. Joseph, the oratory in Montreal. If you approach the big church from below, you see the statue of St. Joseph, and there's a Latin inscription in front, Ite ad Joseph. Go to Joseph. That's exactly what we should do. And we should do it today, especially on his feast day. We should go to him. Starts by saying a prayer to St. Joseph. You can do it at home. Maybe you find a statue that you have or an image of his somewhere which you can dust off and put out. Maybe light a candle in front and then say a prayer. Ask for the gift of patience, the gift of faith, the gift of trust in God as he had it. Ask Joseph for his blessings as the patron that he is. Blessings on us, in our parishes here in Ottawa, and blessings from our parishes here, St. Albertus and St. George's. Thank you.